If I had to learn English from zero today, I wouldn't follow the advice most people give. No grammar first approach, no motivational nonsense, and definitely no speak fluently in 30 days scams. Most English learners aren't failing because they're dumb, they're failing because they're using a broken system that focuses on rules instead of real-world usage. English is not a subject, it's a skill. And skills are built through repetition, exposure, and correct practice, not through memorizing books. The real problem is that people understand English but freeze when they try to speak. That gap exists because nobody teaches how the brain actually acquires a language in a practical, scientific way. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly how I would learn English if I had to start from absolute zero. Step by step, no fluff. No superstition, just logic, psychology, and systems that actually work. If you're serious about upgrading your communication, confidence, and opportunities, this video is not optional, it's foundational. Reset the mindset. English is a skill, not talent. If I had to learn English from zero, the very first thing I'd fix is my mindset. Most people fail at English not because it's hard, but because they treat it like a talent. They think some people are born good at English, and others aren't. That's pure nonsense. English is a learned skill, just like typing, driving, or using a smartphone. Nobody is born fluent, everyone trains their brain into it. The second mental reset is understanding that English is not a subject, it's a tool. You don't learn English to pass exams, impress teachers, or sound fancy. You learn it to think clearly, communicate ideas, and upgrade your life opportunities. When you stop chasing perfection and start chasing usefulness, fear drops instantly. Broken English that delivers meaning is 100x better than silent perfection. Another critical thing I'd accept early: confusion is progress. Feeling stuck, blank, or slow is not failure, it's your brain rewiring itself. Language learning literally changes neural pathways. If it feels uncomfortable, that means it's working. People quit exactly at this stage because they misread discomfort as inability. Smart learners see it as evidence of growth. Finally, I'd make one brutal promise to myself: no shame, no ego. I will speak badly. I will sound dumb. I will make mistakes publicly. And I will not apologize for learning. Ego is the biggest enemy of fluency. The day you stop protecting your image is the day your English actually starts improving. Build sounds first, not grammar, not rules. If I were starting from zero, I would completely ignore grammar books in the beginning. That shocks people, but here's the truth. Language enters through the ears before it comes out of the mouth. Babies don't learn grammar first, they absorb sounds, rhythm, and patterns. I'd copy that exact process. I'd surround myself with simple English audio every single day. Not fast podcasts, not movies with heavy accents, just slow, clear, everyday English. Even if I don't understand everything, I'd let my brain get familiar with how English sounds. Stress patterns, pauses, pronunciation. This creates a mental map long before meaning becomes clear. Next, I'd practice active listening, not passive noise. That means replaying the same audio multiple times, focusing on how words connect, where the speaker goes up or down in tone, and how sentences flow naturally. I wouldn't force understanding. Understanding comes later. Familiarity comes first. Most learners fail because they try to speak English with the sound system of their native language. That creates a permanent accent barrier and low confidence. By training the ear early, pronunciation becomes easier automatically. You don't learn pronunciation, you absorb it. This step saves months of struggle later. Think in meaning, not translation. If I had to restart from zero, I would ban one habit completely: translating English into my native language. Translation feels helpful, but it actually slows everything down. Real fluency begins when English connects directly to meaning, not to another language in between. In the beginning, I'd use pictures, actions, situations, and context to understand words. For example, instead of memorizing that run means some word in my language, I'd connect it to the action of running. The brain learns faster when words link to experiences, not dictionary definitions. I'd also keep my sentences extremely simple. No complex structures, no fancy words. Just clear meaning. I am tired. I want water. I don't understand. This builds confidence and speed. People who chase complexity early usually freeze later because their brain is overloaded. Over time, this method creates automatic responses. You don't pause to convert thoughts. English becomes the thought itself. That's the difference between knowing English and using English. Translation is a temporary crutch. I'd drop it as early as possible to let my brain adapt naturally. Speak from day one, even if it's ugly. If I had to learn English from zero, I would start speaking on day one. Not after finishing grammar. Not after feeling ready. Readiness is a myth. Speaking badly is the training. Silence is what kills progress. At first, I talk to myself. Out loud. Describing what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what I see around me. I am opening my laptop. This video is boring. I need to focus. These sentences look childish, but they train the brain to produce English without pressure or judgment. Then I'd move to low-risk speaking. Voice notes, shadowing speakers, reading aloud, repeating lines from videos. The goal isn't accuracy, it's flow. Your mouth needs muscle memory just like your ears need sound exposure. Without speaking, English stays passive knowledge forever. Most people wait to speak because they fear mistakes. But mistakes are not errors, they are feedback. Every time you struggle to express something, your brain learns what's missing. Fluency is built from thousands of tiny failures, not from one perfect moment. Learn grammar backwards, from use to rule. If I were learning English from zero, I would not start with grammar rules. Instead, I'd let grammar reveal itself naturally through usage. Rules make sense after exposure, not before. Grammar is a map. You don't need a map before you've seen the land. I'd notice patterns while listening and speaking. For example, hearing, I am going, she is working, they are studying, again and again. Without naming the tense, my brain would already understand when and how it's used. Only later would I attach labels like present continuous. When I finally touch grammar, I'd use it to correct and sharpen, not to block myself. Grammar's job is to reduce confusion, not create fear. One rule at a time, applied immediately in speaking and writing. No memorization marathons. No exercises that never reach real life. Most learners become grammar experts who can't speak because they learned rules in isolation. I'd flip that completely. First communication, then clarity. Grammar should serve fluency, never dominate it. Build vocabulary like a system, not a list. If I had to learn English from zero, I'd never memorize random word lists. That's inefficient and forgettable. Instead, I'd build vocabulary by usage and context, the same way apps, habits, and routines get stored in memory. I'd learn words in chunks and sentences, not alone. For example, not just decision, but make a decision, bad decision, decision matters. This trains the brain to use words correctly without thinking. Vocabulary isn't about knowing meanings, it's about knowing how words behave. I'd also prioritize high-frequency words. The top 1,000 to 2,000 English words cover most daily conversations. Fancy vocabulary looks impressive but adds little power early on. Clear English beats complex English every time. Precision greater than decoration. To lock words in, I'd reuse them aggressively. Same word, different situations, same day. Speaking, writing, thinking, repetition with variation. Memory works on exposure, not intention. If a word doesn't show up again, it disappears. Simple rule. Use it or lose it. Read and watch only what matches your level. If I had to learn English from zero, I would be extremely selective about what I consume. Motivation dies when content is too hard. Progress dies when it's too easy. The sweet spot is slightly uncomfortable but understandable. I'd start with short, simple content, basic stories, slow videos, subtitles when needed. Not to binge, but to extract language. I'd pause, repeat lines, notice expressions, and steal sentence structures. Entertainment becomes training when you interact with it. As my level improves, I'd slowly increase difficulty. Longer videos, faster speech, fewer subtitles. This gradual overload forces the brain to stretch without breaking. Jumping straight into movies or podcasts meant for natives is one of the biggest confidence killers. Most learners consume content passively and call it practice. I wouldn't. Every piece of content must give me something usable, a phrase, a tone, a structure. Learning English isn't about time spent, it's about attention invested. Create an English-only environment on purpose. If I had to learn English from zero, I wouldn't depend on motivation or mood. I'd engineer my environment so English becomes unavoidable. Language learning accelerates when exposure is forced, not optional. Waiting for study time is weak. The real growth happens when English leaks into daily life. I'd change my phone language to English, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Every notification, setting, and app label would slowly train my brain without effort. This works because the brain learns best through repeated micro-exposures, not long study sessions. Small friction today saves massive effort later. I'd also surround myself with English inputs during dead time, walking, eating, traveling, waiting. Short videos, audio clips, or even repeating basic sentences in my head. These moments usually get wasted, but they're perfect for language absorption. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Most people treat English like a classroom subject they can close after 1 hour. I'd treat it like background music that never stops. When English becomes part of your environment, fluency stops feeling like work and starts becoming inevitable. Track output, not just input. If I had to learn English from zero, I would stop judging progress by how much I study and start measuring what I can produce. Input feels productive, videos, books, podcasts, but output is the real proof of learning. If you can't say it, you don't own it yet. I'd set simple output benchmarks for myself. Can I explain my day in English for 2 minutes without stopping? Can I summarize a video in my own words? Can I argue a point, even badly? These tasks expose gaps instantly and honestly. No fake confidence, no illusion of progress. I'd record my voice regularly, even if I hate hearing it. Listening to old recordings is brutal but powerful. You can literally hear improvement over weeks. This builds motivation based on evidence, not hope. Data beats feelings. Always. Most learners avoid output because it feels embarrassing. But embarrassment is just the ego dying, and that's necessary. Fluency grows when comfort dies. If English still feels safe and easy, you're not pushing hard enough. Make English a lifetime asset, not a temporary goal. If I had to learn English from zero, I would never attach it to a deadline like 6 months or 1 year. Language is not a project you finish, it's an asset you keep upgrading. The moment you treat English as a lifelong skill, pressure disappears and consistency becomes natural. I'd use English as a tool to learn other things: business, science, technology, psychology, data, money. This way, English stops being the goal and becomes the medium. That's when real fluency kicks in, when you're thinking about ideas, not the language itself. Learning through English multiplies both knowledge and confidence. I'd also accept that perfection is unnecessary. Accents don't matter. Occasional mistakes don't matter. Clarity matters. Confidence matters. Impact matters. Most fluent speakers in the world are not native, they're just comfortable. Comfort beats correctness every time. Finally, I'd commit to one simple rule: never quit exposure. Even on busy days, even on low-energy days, some English, every day. Languages decay when ignored, but when fed consistently, they compound silently. Start from zero, stay patient, and English will eventually feel less like a subject and more like your second operating system. If you've watched this till the end, understand one thing clearly: learning English is not about talent, luck, or background. It's about systems, patience, and daily execution. Anyone can learn English if they stop chasing shortcuts and start respecting the process. Progress may feel slow in the beginning, but slow progress done consistently always beats fast motivation that dies quickly. You don't need perfection to start, and you don't need confidence to speak. Confidence is the result of speaking. Make mistakes, sound bad, feel awkward, and keep going anyway. Every sentence you speak, every word you reuse, every time you choose exposure over comfort, you're rewiring your brain in your favor. So stop waiting for the right time. Start with what you have, where you are. Turn English into a daily habit, not a temporary goal. And if this video helped you think differently, don't just watch, apply. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment, but action turns English into power.